All right. Good day, Grand Rising, and welcome to you all. You are tuned in to the Peak Wellness Hour, and we are diving into the year of 2026 strong. We're starting out with discussions on foundation, and we're super excited to bring this conversation to you as kind of a part two. So, what I want you all to do is imagine that your life is a house. The roof is your goals, your dreams, and your accomplishments. The walls are your responsibilities, such as work, family, and commitments. And then the decor is your personality, your lifestyle, your preferences, is what holds everything together, what holds everything up. So no matter how beautiful the house is, if the foundation cracks, everything is at risk. That is why we are going to be talking about core values today. We want you to grab a pen and paper. We want you to share, but we also want you to like and subscribe. And we'll be right back to have this conversation with you. We can't wait. All right, so welcome back. Again, we're going to be talking about building on your core values. We've got Queen Edith here, as well as our special co-host, Brianne. So excited to have her back with us. So last week we spoke about foundations and building strong foundations. I thought it was a great conversation. I don't know about you all. If you did not see that broadcast, you definitely want to go ahead and look back on that. So today we're going to be just diving into core values. Like I said, just kind of building up that house, building up that structure that is our lives, right? Grand Rising, King Sean, so glad you're in the building. We've got Mind Games Uncut in the building, also with the United Empires of Akibalon, along with Queen Kathy B. So excited that you all are here today. We just lost Queen Edith, but we'll get into this conversation. You all know she always brings us in, but it's all right. We do apologize for being a little late. It's been a rough morning. It was a rough night for me, so sorry. So yeah. Let me see. I'm sorry, I'm bringing Edith back on. I don't know, it feels kind of weird not having her bring us in. There you are. So without further ado, we've got Queen Edith in the building. Queen, you want to bring us in so we can start this conversation?
I most definitely do on this beautiful Saturday morning. I would say something that may sound a little out of place, but I'm going to say it anyway. Listen, every day we get up, we are fulfilling prophecy. And you have to be mindful of what day it is and what prophecy you're fulfilling. I mean, they're good and they're bad prophecies. So the question is, I want you to state that what I want to say is be mindful of each day. And remember that you are fulfilling something. You are answering a question. You may be a solution to something. Today is 10, 110. which is 1 1. It's a powerful number. So don't take this day for granted. Don't take any day for granted. But that is the pastor in me speaking. Good morning, friends and family. I'm not going to go too deep in there, but last week we started with foundations, and Queen opened us up with a very powerful structure: the roof, the walls, the pictures on the wall, and of course, the foundation. Okay, if the foundation is wrong, everything you build is in vain because they'll come crashing. And that is why the reason we thought it fair and wise after last week's episode to bring you core beliefs. Core beliefs. When they say core, core is something that is central to you, the center of your life. I remember I read a book by a Nigerian author, Chinua Achebe, which says that things fall apart, and we continue to say the center cannot hold. When your center does not hold, nothing stays in place. So the question is this: what are core beliefs? Your core beliefs are truths you live from. A lot of the time, sometimes without realizing it, they shape your choices, your relationships, your boundaries, your expectations, and even how you interpret pain and success. They determine whether you respond from fear, from faith, from survival, or even from purpose. So, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, please invite a friend. Share this video because 2026, we're going to be very intentional in everything we do. And let us dive in into this discussion. Bree.
I think it's amazing that you say our core values really set the tone for everything else in our lives. And I couldn't agree more with that. I see this a lot because a lot of clients struggle with their like core values, and they're not always aligned with that. And we got to ask ourselves, like, how are we walking through life um not being aligned with it, and what can I do to be more connected with it, whether that's if we value family, how can I serve that purpose? you know how am I able to be connected with what's really important to me? Because a lot of time, like, we give importance to other things rather than the values that we say we have. And I think this is also very important to say that, like, your values change over time. What I valued when I was a kid is totally different from what we value now. I don't know if you guys resonate with that, but they keep changing as we go.
You're muted, Queen.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I've got a question. Okay, so what you just said, and I'm not disputing here on this program. We just kind of go with the flow and we just get insight, you all. So if you're watching, we have different backgrounds, difference of opinions. So I'm going to ask a question. So I'm looking over something, and it's talking about core values versus goals. Okay, so if it says values are how you want to live, and then goals are what you want to achieve. So, for instance, if the value is freedom, okay, whether it's with your time, your money, whatever, the value is freedom. The goal is to build a flexible business or to, expand your wealth or whatever it is. If the value is family, the goal may be being more involved in family, being more attentive, being home by 5 for supper.
mhm.
So I'm wondering, is it that our goals tend to change more often than our core values? And I'm asking that because, like I said, Bree, you mentioned with clientele, with you and Queenie working with clients with addiction needs, support, those goals seem to change. Today I want to be here. Today I want to fix this today. But the values, this is my core value. This is my core belief. I was brought up where I was told I'd never be anything. I was told that I was worthless, or I was told I was great, but yet I'm in this situation, you know. So in my greatness, and then like with you all dealing with addiction counseling, in my greatness, I'm dealing with this thing. So my core value is to be great, but the goal, today I don't feel great. So today I don't want to do it. Today I don't want to try. You see what I'm saying? So I'm wondering if there's a difference in how we understand that for self when it comes to goals and core values. Any insight?
Can I come in? Should I speak or Bree, you will go?
You can add to it, Edith.
Okay, so this is the way I'll describe it. I wouldn't even say our goals change. I'll say the activities towards the goal change. Sometimes the goal remains the same.
Okay.
The activities towards the goal, the actions we take can change based on knowledge. Okay. Let's just say I want to have freedom. In other words, I want to have the freedom to live as I please without trading my time for money. Okay. Then I have to figure out. In the beginning, I may say I'm starting peak home care, where I will make money and have the money that I need so I can live the life. But if I pick home care, I have to trade my time to live in the life. Then, well, as I go, I realize that, okay, it's good, it's coming well. However, I'm spending a lot of time here. What other ways can I build wealth? Hi, beautiful. How can I develop wealth, develop find the money that I need without necessarily having to trade my time? Okay, so now the goal of freedom remains the same. Now I'm looking for other methods how I can make money and not have to be in the office from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you are running a business and a business owner, you will realize that you work a lot more than your employees. I promise you work a lot more. Okay, so then how do I change the scenario? Make sure this business is working, but what other ways can I have freedom without necessarily trading all my time into it, right? So that's one thing. I don't think that ultimately our goals change. Our goals almost remain the same unless we want more. Then of course we make other goals to work towards achieving all of them. When we talk about their values and their core values, Bree said that as a child, you look at life differently because you're a child and you're young and you're immature. I remember being a child. One of the things that I wanted to do, watching these movies, watching these successful young ladies, single women like a doctor, a professor, doing so well. She comes home to a beautiful, cute apartment. She sits on her balcony with the wine and smoking. It was the most beautiful thing to me. And that is all I wanted to be beautiful, to be young, to be successful, to live my life, to be able to come home and drink my wine and pick up my cigarette. At the time, it was a goal. I wouldn't call it a core value. We have values and we have core values. Core values are very foundational. They are your non-negotiables. No matter what happens in your life, these values I'm not going against. Nobody will push me away from this. Okay, your core values, having said that, they are what do you call it, foundational. They are rooting. They root you. Okay, and so once you're rooted in your core values, nothing will uproot you. It doesn't matter who comes in to try to change it. You are so it's so embedded in you that if somebody tries to push you out of it, you might get irritated, you might get frustrated, you might get angry, and you might probably react the wrong way because no, you will not take me away from this. Core values, when you have solid core values and core principles, no matter what happens in your life, you come back to it and you stand. Okay. But as a child, your values will change.
Mm-hmm.
The general values can change. I valued seeing a woman like that, smoking cigarettes, drinking wine. It's very interesting what children see. It was beautiful to me. The success part was there, but was everything real? It wasn't even real what I was seeing. So as we grow and mature and develop, our eyes open to what is reality, and we carve our path in
Mm-hmm.
life based on the knowledge and experiences we come across. So, core values, in my opinion, as are our foundation. We stand strong on it and they do not change. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. Go ahead, Bree. You gonna say something?
No, I really like that you said the core values are non-negotiable because it's almost like, correct me if I'm wrong, it's almost like we have a boundary. There's a boundary there that we're not going to let anyone, cross to change who we are, to change what's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think that at some point those things need to be reassessed and readjusted over time? Like I said, like sometimes when we're growing up, the core values, you have them, before you can walk or talk, before you know it, you are, you're brought up with, say religion, different religions were brought up with different eating habits, the way we speak, the way we conduct ourselves. And then at some point, do you think it's appropriate for us to reassess those things? And because I think a lot of times with core values, when it comes to our upbringing and our foundation as children, there's an expectation. So if I grew up this way, this is how I had to do things now. You see what I'm saying? If I was brought up to where you're supposed to go to college and get married and then have children and then, all these steps, I think sometimes expectations hinder us from moving outside of those childhood foundational values in order for individual growth as in adulthood. That makes any sense?
I totally resonate with that. And that's why I say, like, our values change over time, and I think it's important that we do reassess them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe the goal stays the same, like Edith, like there's just different activities that
Mm-hmm.
connect you to it. But sometimes, and I know this has happened to me, where they're not necessarily values that I want. They're values that were almost like given to me to have. They
Mm-hmm.
were expectations that I needed to meet. So then they became my values. But then we have to reassess of, like, is this actually important to me?
Mm-hmm.
Or how is this going to align with my purpose? And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I think that we really have to have these deeper conversations within ourselves of, like, okay, what's my purpose? And
Mm-hmm.
how are my core values getting me in that right direction? And is there anywhere we could pivot that maybe what's serving me and what's not?
Love it.
Thank you, Brie. That was good. That was
Mm-hmm.
really good. See, so some of us are living with inherited beliefs, right? Beliefs that formed our core values. Some of our beliefs and our values are trauma-informed beliefs based on the trauma we went through.
Mm-hmm.
We determined that this, and for a while, that was the principle from which we based our lives decisions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Culture shapes our values as well. I moved in from Ghana to the United States. There are some things that I have had to readjust, okay? Okay, and then there's okay, survival based. When I moved to America, what were some of the things I experienced? The cultural shock and everything. And then you begin to look. So, okay, and then also, for example, maybe you are an addict, okay, and you when you wake up in the morning, you live and work for getting what it takes to get your drugs, your alcohol, your fakes, okay, all those things. So core beliefs are built on where you are at any given time. Okay, where are you in this part of life? What do you know as your purpose? What are your goals? And you build your beliefs and your structure around it. For 4 years, as some of us were in school, okay, and in school, I knew that I believed that I have to sacrifice so much time to my studies over a period of time. Okay, now school is over. So I don't think the foundational belief changes though. I don't think so. However, the purpose you are reaching for, once you find out what your true purpose is, you build those values around it. But I want to say that certain core beliefs remain the same. At the end of the day, the main goal is this: what are the things I'm putting in place to ensure that I reach that goal? Things that nobody, for example, a young lady is ready for marriage. She makes a list of what she wants out of a husband, or even a man, out of a wife. Okay, I know for sure that I do not, and I go with the Bible way. I do not want to have sex before marriage, because according to my core beliefs and by the Bible, sex before marriage is sin before God, and sexual purity is one of the most sinful things we can do to our body, the hurting things we can do to our body, which is the temple of the living God. A man comes into your life wanting to sleep with you. Is this something you're willing to negotiate because you're in love? Or it's a non-negotiable for you? This is where sometimes we are pulled left or we are pulled right in our beliefs. And if your foundation is not strong, you may be pulled into the wrong direction. You can always do a turnaround. I'm not saying you can, but I'm just saying that certain beliefs. I do not want to have a long distance relationship, for example, okay, because I don't have the money to travel back and forth. Okay, now what do you do when somebody who checks all the boxes except for long distance relationship, okay, comes in? Then what do you do? Okay, I want to have a family, I want to have children, I want us to have the same faith. Now you are a Christian, and then a Muslim comes into your life. What will you do? So these foundational beliefs, a lot of the time, remain the same.
Mhm.
However, it's our mental status,
Mhm.
our understanding, our perception, our level of maturity that will
Mhm.
determine that, okay, I said that when I was 17 years old, but at 25 years old, maybe I can adjust this.
Mhm.
Okay, right. But we have to be careful when we talk about core principles, core values. It's so important that they are strong, so you are
Mhm.
not easily swayed. Okay, because that's the backbone that keeps you strong and standing. Uh,
Mhm.
I really like you said that it's very important that they're healthy in a way. Because Ida, tell me, or I mean, both of you guys can share input, but like, what happens when your core beliefs are so negative? What happens when you've been told all these different beliefs about yourself, and they make you they it's almost like you perceive yourself as a negative person, or you see yourself in a negative lens. And that's why it's so important that they are healthy. They are something that's going to help you on the long run, because it is so hard to change that perspective, that belief about yourself, when you've been fed a lot of like negative views on who you
Mhm.
are.
Mhm.
It's interesting, Brie, that you bring that. That is so powerful because in working as a counselor, you come to realize that people believe very negative things about themselves.
Mhm.
I It was my fault that my brother died.
Yeah.
And so they live with this guilt and they believe it and they live with this guilt. And it drives every decision because it's a negative core belief. Life is negative. So that is so powerful. That is so powerful. It's my belief that I am nothing. And so even when I'm doing well, now I do something and I sabotage
Right.
that thing I'm doing because my core belief is negative. So the key word that Brie just brought up is that it has to be healthy.
Mhm.
Healthy to build your bones
Mhm.
strong.
And
Mhm.
and I know that we're in the process of, with a new year, and
Mhm.
we want to build a healthy foundation, and it might be something that feels very challenging to us, of like building a healthy foundation. And I think I am very hopeful that you can build a strong foundation even when there's been a lot of negative in the past.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of things that we perceived about ourselves that don't serve us, and we
Mhm.
pivot. And
Mhm.
I think that that's where maybe the values that we have are, they stay the same, or we've been inherited values from generations and they stick with us, but not necessarily getting rid of them. You can kind of see where do they align with that purpose, because
Mhm.
if we allow that those negative beliefs that we hold of ourselves, like, they're only going to affect us in our core values.
I think a lot of that negativity, though, is in for a lot of people, not in every situation, but I think a lot of that is instilled at a young age before you understand what
Mhm.
is happening. Like I said, how do you, as a parent, how do you tell your child that you'll never be nothing? How do you call your children stupid? How do you're just like your daddy? You just
Yeah.
ridiculous things like that. And you wonder why people grow up and they don't see self-value. It's interesting how we hurt the most vulnerable people and we don't see the repercussions from it. So now I've got parents that tell me that I'll never be nothing. All it takes is one person, or say my parents said I'll be great, and one person from school, one teacher said, you're stupid, you'll never be nothing. And
Mhm.
so that one person out of dozens has shaped my perspective about myself. And for whatever reason, we like to hang on and cling on to that one negative thing,
Mhm.
and then we perpetuate the cycle. I'm upset because let's say a young man. This young man's upset because his father wasn't there. You're so angry. Now you're in your 20s, 30s, have no relationship with your father, but now you have children and you don't have a relationship with. I've heard people say, well, I don't know how to be a good father because my father wasn't there. But you're
Mhm.
procreating all over the place.
Right.
There is something wrong with being unhealed as we go through this process, as we work on this foundation, because it's there. The ground is always going to be under your feet. So the foundation is there. It's what you're building on it. And I think we have such a difficult time with self-love and self-acceptance. And again, it's back to that expectation. I know people that are adults that have a hard time looking in the mirror and saying, I love myself.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. You have people around you, I'm telling you, I love you. This person saying, I love you. And you don't get that. You don't feel that for yourself. I think wanting to heal and wanting to accept positive growth and empowerment is going to be that first step to moving on that negativity. Because if we're expecting someone to validate our greatness, we'll let somebody shake their finger at our weaknesses and our shortcomings, but we'll push somebody away when they try to validate our greatness, because it's uncomfortable for us. It's uncomfortable for a lot of people. And it's mind blowing. As much as I can comprehend the process, it's mind blowing still, so I don't know.
And
It is. Okay, Bree, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry, you're good.
No, you're fine.
You bring a really interesting point, Queen. But we also have to really recognize like that one person did affect a lot. It's also because they're hurting too.
There you go.
These parents that, or whoever, caregiver, teachers, they don't always recognize like I'm hurting too. The foundation for them is also rocky. So they only do what they think is right. So that is not the right move to make, but it's almost like they instill that fear of what they fear onto the kids. And it is from an early age. And it's very hurtful for everyone who has experienced it, but that doesn't mean that it ends there, right? Because there's a way to put a stop to that cycle of how we view ourselves and not give ourselves any credit for all the accomplishments we've had, all of the things that have gone good in our life. Because sometimes there is the self-doubt, but in that self-doubt is because we question our self-worth. And that's where we have to think back on like what is truly important to me.
I agree.
So from everything we are saying, okay, this is how I'll say this, that your mental state at the time you determine these are the beliefs on which I will live my life matters a lot. When you are bitter and angry and frustrated and you feel so low, you could make decisions that ultimately will not serve your purpose, because you made these decisions that this is the foundation upon which I'll live my life, not out of the lessons learned from the situation that made you bitter, but out of bitterness itself, or anger itself, or disappointment, or frustration. And sometimes making decisions in these low points of life are self-sabotaging more than serving. So you realize that a person who is healed is healthy. Okay. And so if you are in a healthy place, then it's time to reevaluate. Look at things. Well, I said that when I was angry, I didn't mean it. So now it makes sense when we talk about it can change. It can change as you get older, or I don't want to use older because sometimes people get older and continue to behave very childish. Age does not determine maturity or even knowledge. Okay, what happens is that when we mature and know better, then we plan better, we make better choices, better decisions. These are the beliefs upon which my life will stand. I know they're coming from a healthy place and they are solid. Okay, so they can change. And so it's so important that we know our mindset at the time we are making these decisions? What is it based on? Is it based on anger? Is it based on what was done to me? Is it based on what I was experienced? Is it based on the trauma? Is it something that was passed on to me and I accepted it without questioning? Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when these are things you look at.
Mm-hmm.
But friends and family, the reason why we are bringing this to you, because it is foundational in your growth. In the beginning of the year, we said new year, new you. A lot of the time, it's not so new, but
Mm-hmm.
it's another level. How do I build on this foundation to get to the next level? We can't always restart because then we are
Mm-hmm.
wasting the years as well. And the reason why we are bringing you this conversation, and I have to say this, is so that you will continue to evaluate, you will continue to take stock of
Mm-hmm.
yourself. How are you growing? How are you developing? If that was your core value, how is it serving you? Is it negative? Is it healthy? Is it positive? Is it godly? Is it ungodly? Is it goodly? Whatever it is it serving family? You may have had those beliefs when you were single. Okay, now you are married. You need to come to a place where you and your spouse can come to some form of agreement, your willingness to compromise. All of those factors make a difference,
Mm-hmm.
matter. So we always have to even change of jobs, okay, moving out of state, change of careers, all these things affect us, and we need to sit down, look at our life right now in this moment. What led
Mm-hmm.
to these beliefs?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to serve me now?
Mm.
Are they even healthy? And
Mm-hmm.
then we take it from there, do the evaluations, make the adjustments. The
Mm-hmm.
goal always is remaining the same, I hope. Your ultimate goal remains the same, unless something came up and you learned something. So
Mm-hmm.
it's important that we look at our mental state. And I'll use this to say this. When you're doing your annual physicals, know that your mind matters. Get yourself a therapist. A lot of therapists accept insurance.
Mhm.
And if not, save $10 every week for 60 days or 120 days or 150 days, 90 days, whatever, $10, $20.
Mhm.
And find yourself a therapist who you see at least quarterly. Start
Mm-hmm.
there because it matters. Your
Mm-hmm.
mindset really matters. Your therapist does not solve your problem, they guide your
Mm-hmm.
perspective. They
Mm-hmm.
guide your perspective. So you will come to certain conclusions yourself. You will make decisions based on proper knowledge and information. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, it works.
Yes.
To put that commercial in there, right there.
And you know what? I'm gonna say this. When we talk about therapy and seeking help, I'm gonna say this on a financial aspect. And I'm just doing it financial because a lot of us, some of us do have the means to get that help, and we have excuses and delays on why we don't. So I'm not even gonna address that right
Mhm.
now. What I will say with the financial part, or even not knowing where to start or who to talk to, I believe that, again, I say this all the time, but journaling is an amazing tool. I know when I started doing my coaching, I did self coaching first. So it's tricky to do it because if you go to a therapist, if I'm going to Queen Edith or Bree, they're non-biased
Mhm.
for a need, and they're there to try to help serve that need, right? But it's funny when you start journaling and you're addressing things like you would talk to a therapist or a counselor about, and
Mhm.
you have to respond to your own issues and be real about it. Because it's really funny if I'm writing down, hey, today I'm struggling, I'm always angry, and because I'm angry, I don't sleep well, I'm stressed out, I'm not pleasant to be around. Well, what do I say back in that response on that paper that I'm writing? Well, it's okay. You're just having a bad day. No, you ask yourself those questions. Well, why are you always angry? Why are you always stressed out? Why can't you forgive? Why don't you choose to heal? Using those words. And you'll realize that it's very insulting to self to lie to self.
Mm.
And if that's what you're doing, then go ahead and put the pen and paper down and get some help. And I'm not being funny, because that's borderline sociopathic behavior, when you're lying to yourself and you are justifying the things that you're doing when you know that you're seeking help and you can't even be real with yourself. There's something wrong with that. There is a huge that brokenness is real. Queen Edith, you said something a few weeks ago, and you were talking about your mother and her passing, and you mentioned, as far as that wound never healing, right? And I didn't say this on that broadcast, but it's been in my mind for quite some time since you said it. And I can't identify with how you feel and what you're going through with that. But I'd like to suggest that maybe some of these wounds that we have when it comes to healing, we have to realize that, if you cut yourself when you were a little kid, you fell off the bike and you had this big gash on your knee. Well, it's healed now, but you still have the scar and the scar tissue. All because you have the scar tissue doesn't make you unhealed. It's a remembrance of you falling off that bike. It's a remembrance of you falling down, you tripping over something, and hopefully it makes you cautious. When you get on a bike again, don't be doing wheelies in your 40s like you did in 14, So I think sometimes we have to recognize that scar tissue and not try to reopen that wound, I'm not speaking on your situation with your mom, I'm just saying in general, when we're trying to heal, sometimes it's a lot easier for us to be in that victimized mode than choosing to be a survivor. Because a lot of times when we're victimized, it's not when we choose. Even if we're doing things we have no business doing, it doesn't mean you want to be victimized, right? But survival is a choice. And a lot of times it's easier because it's more familiar to stay in that victim mode. Well, this is why I am, because I went through this. I was traumatized. I was hurt. Somebody offended me. So this is why I'm angry. This is why, I move the way I move. I speak the way I speak. And you have to ask yourself, is it beneficial to you? Is it helping you? It's not helping anybody else, but if that's where you can't be when it comes to living in a world with everybody else, is it benefiting you? And when you find that it's not, you'll see how the world responds to you. See how people respond to you, environments respond to you. And it just perpetuates that negative cycle. Nobody wants to be around negative people except other negative people. When you learn, I was brought up, misery loves company. It's funny, this things that we hear, and until you see it, just like misery loves company. Whenever I'm miserable, and I try not to be, when I'm miserable, I'm not calling Queen Edith, I'm not calling Brie, I'm not calling nobody with my misery unless I'm looking to heal and be empowered. I don't want you in, girl, I had this bad day. I hate this job. I hate these people. And I'm calling Edith. And she's like, girl, yeah, you should beat him up. You should. No. And instead of saying, hey, that's not the way to think. That's not, so, and if that's what you're clicked up with, it's not good. It's not good for growth, personal growth. So, yeah.
To piggyback on that, my mother thing, like, it's not something that I'm not healed from. It's something that I've learned to live without. I've learned to live through it, not even survive it. And we live in the memory. I lost a child. My daughter died, and after her, I've never had a child. Okay. I can't help to, when I see young baby girls, like, get excited and get thrilled and wonder. Because today, social media, you see someone wishing their daughter a happy birthday on the same date that my daughter was born. And I'll sit there and say she would have been 25 or 26 or 27 years. The memory isn't going away. The void may not go away. However, I understand it I live with it and I cherish the moments I
Mm-hmm.
did spend with her. So our scars, like you said, I have learned not to be ashamed of my scars.
Mm-hmm.
I wear my scars proudly. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not afraid to share them when it's time to share them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that is very important.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to open up a wound. Sometimes, as therapists, we do, though,
Mm-hmm.
because it's unhealed. When you look at the scar, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of mass in it. So the scar itself is just masking. The wound is still in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now we have to cut it open and get all the, what do you call that thing that come out of wounds, Queen? The liquid, the fluid that
The
you,
drainage.
the drainage. We need to drain it.
Mm-hmm.
So now it will probably be healed.
Mm-hmm.
And the scar will not be pose a problem later on.
Mm-hmm.
As therapists,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we looking at the scar realize that there's a lot of fluid in there built up,
Mm-hmm.
and it can end up becoming infectious,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
sometimes
Yes.
as therapists, that particular scar tissue
Mm-hmm.
is not healed.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it, like mine here, is healed and dry. There's nothing in
Mm-hmm.
it. When I push it, I feel nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been going to my doctor therapist to look at it. I've been going. My last appointment was just 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So the reality is this: some scar tissues
Mm-hmm.
are still wounded.
Mm-hmm.
That fluid is in there. We need to cut it
Mm-hmm.
open and drain it, and drain it,
Absolutely.
and drain it, and drain it. But you cannot be shy. Your scars are the reason you've become the germ that
Mm-hmm.
you are. They decorate your beauty and they make you stand out. So that I always say this, as you know, they call therapists, I don't know if Bree's aware, the wounded healers. Therapists are called the wounded healers. Sometimes it will amaze you what they have walked through sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they know it. So they, when they are dealing with you, they come from a place of, I get it. They may not share their story, they may not
Mm-hmm.
tell you, but they know exactly what you're dealing with. Sometimes, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that's always the case. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. So it's so important that you don't build your foundation out of your wounded place.
Mm-hmm.
You can build it out of the lessons you learned in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely don't let the pain of the wound determine your tomorrow. You went through something at the age of 16, 17, 18. And I say this, and nobody should, I won't even share it. But there's this book I'm writing, and there's purpose in your fire. I've been writing it for over 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose in your fire. There's purpose in that wound. There's
Yeah.
purpose in that wound. People walk
Mm-hmm.
around, let me
Mm-hmm.
say it, people walk around in shame,
Mm-hmm.
their head bowed down
Mm-hmm.
because of what they have done and what they have been through.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have to. That's why some of us are afraid to go see a counselor, because we're going to bring up things you don't want to talk about because you feel shame.
Yeah.
Don't feel shame.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care
Mm-hmm.
that you went through it. And when I say I don't care, I mean it's not the object of our conversation. But how do we get unstuck so we can make healthy choices and move on with life? It's not a stumbling block, it's a stepping stone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stepping stone. And as your therapist, the goal is to help you overcome that hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
You are who you've become as a result of what you've been through. But your choices today are as a result of your perception of what you've been through. How do we change the perception for you to overcome and make it a stepping stone? Because somebody 5 years from now will go through the same thing. And if you were to meet the younger you, What would you
Mm-hmm.
tell them? I got oh, your life is over because you endured that. No, that's not true. So
Mm-hmm.
let's not be ashamed. Let's get the healing we need. And let build a solid life. Because no one individual, whether you were raped, whether you were abused by your parents, whether you were abused by a spouse, whether you ended up stealing, robbing people, all of those, you've done so much time in jail.
Mm-hmm.
You're grown, you should know better. Get the help you need so you can build your life solidly from this day going forward.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think
And
it's
you know, I just want to stress that again, me bringing that up, I was not correlating that to your situation.
I
I
know.
just, and that's why I didn't bring it up then, because I thought about it with just healing periods. So, and you all see me when I talk about my I've not lost a parent, thank God. But when I talk about my grandmother, y'all know I'll click this camera off real quick and grab some tissues. So,
I know.
it is impressive. So I just want to make that clear to everyone. We have the right to grieve. We have the right to heal in our own time, but the goal is to not stay broken and
Mhm.
find the tools that work for you to put those pieces back together. Have you ever seen someone where, fine china, antique kind of things, heirlooms, and then something breaks, and now you're looking at the shattered glass on the ground, figuring how you could put this back together, and if you put it back together right, and it's so important to you, the cracks and the crevices don't matter, and sometimes that's what it has to be. Sometimes when we pick ourselves back up and we put ourselves back together, or we reach out for the tools to be put back together and made whole, we're looking at the cracks. There's a little bitty crack on the bottom of this vase that nobody's seen, this little chip, but it's there. And you focus on that little crack, instead of choosing to allow yourself to be seen as whole or in the process of healing. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying, I've had these shortcomings. I didn't meet these marks. I could have done better, all these things. And now you're here. You don't have to be great right now and lower your greatness because of things in the past.
Mhm.
Right now I'm at the top of my game, but back in the day I did this and that. Well, that was back in the day. And like she said, that scar tissue that, there's room to build and heal and grow from that. So the shame is unnecessary. I guarantee you, people in your life, we're connected by design. It's 6 degrees of separation, right? So somewhere, I'm talking to Queen Eve, there's somebody over in Ghana that I'm gonna run into at Kroger here in Indiana, and it
I
just happens to be
know,
somebody that she,
right?
it's so we're purpose. There's purpose in how we're positioned. So like she said that, your shame is somebody else's triumph. So tell your story. And if you think you have a horrible story, I guarantee you somebody sitting right next to you or in your vicinity has it so much worse. And we never want to say, well, it could be worse. I'm glad it's not me. I'm like, no, it doesn't. No, you don't want it to be you, but you don't want it to be somebody else either. So sharing your story, having a voice of empowerment, you have no idea how it blesses someone else. And that's why we do this on this platform. That's why we get to collaborate together, including King Sean, who's not here, and anybody else that comes on. That's
He's
why
not here, but he's here. He's
he's
all
here. You
over the
see him all in
place,
the
right?
comments. You see
He's
him.
not here, but he's here. He's here.
So yeah. So you never know. And you have to be mindful of who you're sharing your life with. Some people just want to, get information and tear you down. That's a lot of waste of time. But it happens. So be mindful of that. But even in that situation, hey, I did this thing back then and now it's thrown up in my face. Well, yeah, I did, but I don't now. So you have to be comfortable with saying that. You have to be comfortable with saying that I'm the best me I can be right now. And if that's not you, then get to your best. It's not about perfection. It's about bettering self one moment at a time. And sometimes we can't take it one day at a time. Sometimes just one moment. You got 24 hours in a day, and this one moment, I might just snap in this one moment out of 24 hours. So it's moment by moment where you have to be strategic and intentional about how you want your life to look. And there's nobody behind the scenes saying cut when you jack it up. You just keep going on, and you just, it's part of a blooper now. So laugh it off, cry it off, but get back up and get back to your core values.
I really like that you said that there might be people that throw it back to us of like you mess up, and something that I've learned and is that you can't, not everyone in your life is going to be able to listen and understand you.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we think that there are people, as much as we want them to be our person that we can tell things to, we have to be mindful, like you said, Queen, that not everyone's going to serve that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone's going to listen mindfully and be able to express like empathy or compassion or guide us with whatever it is that we told them, and maybe keep that information to themselves and not throw it back to us. Not everyone can do that. And I think not everyone can do that is also because like, because sometimes there are people that want to create negativity, right? There are people, like you said, negative attracts negative. So if that mindset is what they are seeking to continue to hurt you, then you have to be mindful and pay attention to those around you, no matter if they're friends. Sometimes even our friends can't provide insight like how
Mm-hmm.
we want it to. Now, what I will say is that I really like that you said we can always fall back on our core values, even when we struggle, even when we make mistakes. Our core values are there, and that's something that we will fall back to. We'll remember what's really important to us,
Mm-hmm.
even when life is hard, which it will be, as it is all the time. You your values are there,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to really think about like what how am I going to continue to stay motivated with that purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and how am I going to how can my values strengthen me as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree. You know, you said something when our people, when you think somebody is your person, your go-to person, how many of us have, our people, or how many of us are somebody's people, and you don't sign up for that? We don't sign up for that. This is, Bree's my go-to person. She didn't sign up for that. I just know when I call her, she'll listen. She's not gonna be rude. Look at King and the wind speaks. There you go, Bree. The wind speaks. Doesn't mean that she's gonna be, nasty, and but I've made her my person because maybe she's compassionate, maybe that's her role professionally, or maybe she shouldn't have boundaries. Maybe I don't have boundaries. But we have to keep that in mind. And that's why, again, therapy and mental health resources are important, because unfortunately, you pay these people to do that, but that's what they're there for. I know my children, you know, I am my oldest son, I am the fall guy. Something happens, it's my fault. If something happens at work, my husband is the fall guy. I can come home. I can't yell at somebody at work. I can't yell at my patients, but I can come home and yell at my husband, about work. He didn't sign up for that. So just keep that in mind when we're reaching out to people. Why are you reaching out? What is your purpose? And if it's not growth, be very careful, because you might find yourself entangled in something that is more difficult to get out of, if versus just keeping your mouth shut, praying, meditating, picking up the phone and calling for some help. So just think about those things.
and I will piggyback back on that one too. Like Bree said, sometimes, or you have both said that sometimes I think the Queen G is my person or Brie is my person. They mean well, they don't even mean to go gossip. But
Mm-hmm.
then, on top of what they're dealing with in their own lives themselves, they're overwhelmed, and there's this overflow of, I need to get it out. I need
Mm-hmm.
to get it out. So, people, not everyone has the capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not everyone has the capacity. As much as they love you and they care about you, they don't have the capacity. Another thing that I find a little irritating is that whilst you're sharing, this is what's bothering me. Let's say, oh, and me too. And then you also make it about you and share yours. So now the
Mhm.
person, whilst you're trying to, let out and vent or something, they're not even listening. Listening is an
Mhm.
amazing skill, and therapists are taught to listen. Okay,
Mhm.
they're not even listening. So you share so much and realize that
Mhm.
it's it didn't help anyway,
Mhm.
and then you blame them. Okay,
Mhm.
and that also impacts your relationships.
Mhm.
So get a healthy space where you are safe to
Mhm.
offload, and then let's take it one step at a time. It is so, so
Mhm.
important. Then we all have a listen. A doctor has a doctor. Doctors don't diagnose their spouses. They tell them, "Have you told your doctor?" All of
Mhm.
us in this field
Yeah.
are required in counseling. There's something called counter-transference. Okay, Queen G may come to me as a counselor, and I don't counsel my friends. That's one a go go go. Okay, let's
Mhm.
just say as friend. Well, she's my therapist, and she comes to me and shares. I go to her and share something. She's been through the same thing. If she doesn't take care, she's gonna project. She's gonna feel what she felt when she was
Mhm.
going through that, and
Mhm.
everything she says will come out of pain rather than really knowledge and skill.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so even therapists have a counselor or a
Mhm.
therapist they go to. We also have to get our mental health straight, so be in a better position to serve you
Mhm.
and not put ourselves in your situation. Say, "Oh, I went through this, and he did that, and she did that, and then I mess up your work." So there
Mhm.
are boundaries that every one of us must build around us, protect ourselves, protect whatever we have been called to do, so we'll be better effective. Okay, and so
Mhm.
when we talk about core values, even as a counselor, as a therapist, as a coach, what are your boundaries with even your clients?
Mhm.
Okay, making sure that you don't develop a relationship where there's so much familiarity, because familiarity will dilute your impact.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so it's so important. And your friends, keep your friends as friends. Let your husband or your wife be your spouse. By all means, share things with them, but be mindful that they are not your therapists.
Mhm.
They will listen out of care and out of love, but they
Mhm.
may provide you with the solution you're looking for. So
Mhm.
have those balances, checks and balances in your relationships. They'll go a long way to help you. Wow, 1 hour is already come and gone.
I love it. I love it. This has been a great conversation. We appreciate you all being in the comment section and giving your feedback. And of course, Bree is so awesome. The little wind, she's so sweet.
The wind.
I'm
Do,
glad to be here.
do our audiences know what these mean? You, Queen, you want to share what the water, is it the wind, the eyes, and what the fire?
Yeah. So if you all didn't see last week before we got, was it last week? So King Sean has deemed Queen Edith and I fire and ice. I have to be the fire. And you know what? I'm trying to sound like Brie and just be calm and gentle and not so intense. But I can't
The
do it.
wind
So
can be
she balances out.
boisterous.
I was surprised that they deemed me the wind because while I might sound calming, I think, and I speak another language. I speak Spanish, so like it might I might be a different element.
Mhm.
But the wind, look at the winds we've been having lately. It
Oh,
could move a car. So the wind can
yes.
be strong. The wind
Mhm.
is not necessarily always calm and almost
Right.
invisible and almost not seen nor
Mhm.
experienced. The
Yeah.
wind is an experience. Be
There you
mindful when
go.
it's strong, when it becomes strong, be mindful because it has the power to lift a whole car, a whole truck, a
That's
whole
true.
house and push it somewhere. All these hurricanes are winds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, you are strong and mighty. You are.
Yeah. Well,
You
I'm
certainly are.
really grateful to be part of this, and I even learn a lot from you guys too. Like, there's so much insight that I've gained being here too, and I hope to continue to give my insight as well.
Absolutely. You all know you have to follow Bree. And I didn't put it in the, let me see if I can put it in the comments on Facebook. So her and Queenie, if you all do not know, they've been partnered together doing addiction counseling. So and then they have so many other gifts and talents. So I'm not going to say anything because it's not my place to say it, but I am very excited about things that they have coming up in that area to serve the community. So you are in the presence of greatness here. I know I certainly am. But what we talk about is so important, the insight. I love the insight that we all give. Again, including King Shine. I had Queen Gloria
I'm
call me
looking for
Aunt
an
Monty.
element for King Sean. I don't mean to cut you, but I'm looking for
I
something.
don't know. What do you?
You said he was Earth.
He is
Okay.
earthy. He is real earthy. I like that. What do you think, King Sean? He's in the comment section. What do you think? What do you think? I think he should be Earth.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
He
but we
grounds
all
us
bring.
all. He grounds us all.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. Yep. So that's who you are, King Sean. You're the Earth. So yeah, we hope that you all enjoyed this broadcast. Any you all have anything you want to contribute in the comment section? I'm sorry, I'm reading these. Please let us know before we get out of here. Please let us know.
And I just want to also touch on like seeking help. There, I didn't mention this before, but there are, and because my insurance doesn't cover for certain um like places, there's different companies of therapy in the area, in the indie area, but there are different resources that you can find of like prorated sessions where there are therapists that will actually charge you like maybe like $20,
Mm-hmm.
or it's so on and so forth, because they are in a platform where there's other therapists and
Mm-hmm.
the experience levels are different. So they might be just coming out of school, or they've been in school, or they've been having a lot of practice for many years. So people
Mm-hmm.
charge you different rates. And so that's something that I did because my insurance wasn't able to pay for um, like in long-term therapy. So I was able to find a platform where I paid like a membership, and then I would pay a certain rate to the therapist because it was, sometimes, especially like if you want a special type of therapy, um,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So there are a lot of people that are able to do that. You just got to find different platforms.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a quick question before we go. I know what is it? Better Health? Is that what it is? The online counseling service you can reach in. Do either of you know anything about that? Because I know there are people that don't know where to start to find a therapist.
Better
Again,
Help,
mhm.
Grow too.
Growth therapy and
Yeah,
briefly,
okay,
there's some of it. So there's growth therapy too. I've seen growth therapy too.
Mhm.
okay, okay. What are your thoughts on that? Have any of you, either of you, had any?
I've not used it, but I'm curious about it. So it can be explored. Maybe I will
Okay,
find a therapy, another therapist on Grow or Better Health and see how
Mhm.
it, just for the experience of it, so we have something to share with you.
I'm
okay.
looking at the resources of the prorated, but like platforms, because I did it, and I really like my therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And there are different profiles available, and there are rates too, so you get to choose from different therapists. I'm not sure if it's like BetterHelp. I don't know if those different companies have where they, if you don't have insurance, that they would be able to help you,
Right.
charge you less. But I can do my research on that, and give you the exact like link of where I went to. You'd think I remember.
Kinshaw says it's good, or you can come to me when you
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, you all look into that. And I'll say this and I'll stop talking, but you don't have to be in disarray to tap into therapy and counseling.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just something to keep you balanced, something, somebody to talk to, so just think about that. Does not mean that there's something wrong with you, that you're out of whack. It just means that you are identifying that you need support and you can reach out and get that. So do not be afraid to do that. Do not be ashamed. And if that is you and you are not getting help because you're ashamed to ask for help, I guarantee you the shame is more crucial when you're wallowing in your mess and you have the option and this resources to get out of that. So let's just make better decisions. And that's what core values are all about, is making sound, solid decisions without a rush. We're just being intentional. So just keep that in mind. Okay. That's all I got. Princess Bree, you got anything, Bree, before we go? I'll let Edith take us out.
All I will say this is that don't let your secrets, or don't let that pain keep you sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We got to start somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to put an effort of realizing what's truly important to us so that we can heal.
I love it. I love it. Oh, okay. Don't stay sick, y'all. I love that. I think Queen Edith gas. So I think that might be our part 3 next week. Don't stay
Don't
sick.
let your secrets or your pain keep you sick. And some of us are sick and we don't even know it. And
Mm-hmm.
going to see a therapist does not mean you're cuckoo, if that's
Mm-hmm.
a phrase that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Going to do physicals doesn't make you sick, but they can detect things and make sure that they are nipped in the bud before they ever become a problem to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it my time to end this one?
Yes, it is, Queen. Please.
So, friends and family, last week we started foundations built to last. Okay. In order for anything to last, its roots must be strong. When I look around, trees that are difficult to uproot, sometimes they just cut them down, but they grow because their roots are so deep. Okay. Some core values need to have depth. But the question is this: we need to ensure that our core values are coming from a healthy place.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important they come from a healthy place, that we ourselves are healthy enough to know when to evaluate, reevaluate, readjust, realign to fulfill or to meet where we are going to. Okay. Core beliefs are they're the roots of our principles, the source of our values, and the framework of our life codes, coded language. If the root is unhealthy, and the fruit will definitely reflect it. But when core beliefs are healed, aligned, and grounded in truth, the entire structure becomes stable. They last longer and it becomes attractive to many people whilst attracting others to their light. So, my dear friends, whilst we're still in January, what are your core values? What are your principles? What are those core beliefs that will keep you building, rebuilding, refixing at all times? That will keep you standing, that will keep you going, even when the going becomes tough. Because the mindset with which we make decisions sometimes it's not the mindset that keeps us going, but it has to be, because the going will get tough along the way. When it does, what are you standing on? that will make you, even if you're cut low, can you grow back again? And those are what core values do, core principles do, core beliefs do. Those are the strengths that keep you going, rooted. And no matter what, you know you will make it to that line. We thank you so much. We appreciate you. And this 2026, I'll say it again, we are being intentional. We know what we want, we know what we need to do. And even after 90 days, we'll keep pushing. When we don't feel like it, we'll keep pushing. Because you are worth it. You are worth the end you see in your mind. You are worth the goal you have set. You are worth the walk. Push through it. Because we on Peak Wellness Hour are cheering you on. We love you, appreciate your time, and thank you for valuing this time with us. Have an amazing week until we come your way on the 17th.
Peace.